It's 1872. Cleveland, Ohio. The city smells like coal smoke and horse sweat. Outside the office window, the Cuyahoga River runs black with oil runoff. Refineries line the banks for miles, exhaling greasy smoke into a sky the color of old tin. Inside the building, everything is quiet. You work for the man who is about to invent the modern monopoly. Today, you're the one holding the pen. You'll need to rewrite that letter. You look down at the page you've spent 20 minutes drafting. Not because the numbers are wrong. Not because the facts are wrong. Because you've used too many words. Across the room, John D. Rockefeller doesn't even glance up from his ledger. Business, he says quietly, should never waste ink. You take the letter back without arguing. It's your third week working as his personal assistant. By now, you've learned something everyone outside this office gets wrong. The most powerful businessman in the city isn't loud. He doesn't slam doors. He doesn't shout orders. If anything, the silence is what unsettles people. The loudest sound most mornings is the scratching of a steel pen against thick cream-colored paper. His office sits inside Standard Oil's headquarters on Superior Avenue. Nothing about it suggests extraordinary wealth. The wooden desk has been repaired more than once. The carpet is worn thin near the entrance. Even the curtains have been patched instead of replaced. Visitors expecting gold decorations and expensive furniture often look confused. One investor whispers to you after leaving, "I thought America's richest businessman would own a better chair." You almost laugh. If only he understood. Mr. Rockefeller notices every unnecessary expense. Yesterday, he folded a half-used envelope inside out so it could be used again for internal notes. This morning, he asked whether both lamps needed to be lit. Outside, wagons rattle through muddy streets blackened by coal dust. Inside, everything runs with remarkable precision. Every appointment begins exactly on time. Every document has its place. Every visitor waits until invited to sit. And every morning starts the same way. Before anyone else arrives, Rockefeller reads his Bible for a few minutes in complete silence. Then he reviews yesterday's financial reports. No conversation. No interruptions. Only numbers. You quickly learn that numbers are the language he trusts most. One Tuesday morning, a thick bundle of papers arrives tied together with string. No company logo. No return address. Only initials written neatly across the front. Rockefeller opens it himself. He reads each page without changing expression. Then, he places the documents neatly back inside the envelope. Close the door. You do. It's the first time all morning his voice carries any weight. Around the table sit only 5 men. No secretaries. No visitors. No unnecessary witnesses. The discussion lasts less than 30 minutes. Very few names are spoken aloud. Instead, they talk about railroads, freight rates, shipments, discounts. The language sounds ordinary. The consequences are anything but. When the meeting ends, Rockefeller hands you a short list. These letters go out today. There are 12 names. Every one belongs to the owner of another oil refinery. You ask the obvious question. Are these purchase offers? He nods once. Fair ones. You spend the afternoon writing letters that all sound surprisingly respectful. There are no threats, no insults, no grand promises. Each one follows nearly the same pattern. Standard Oil wishes to acquire your refinery. The offer is confidential. We believe this arrangement benefits both parties. Signed, John D. Rockefeller. Nothing dramatic. Nothing emotional. Just certainty. Over the next several days, replies begin arriving. Some accept immediately. Others refuse without hesitation. One owner writes in thick black ink across the top of the page, "Standard Oil will never own my business." You leave the letter on Rockefeller's desk. He reads it once, folds it carefully, places it in a drawer, then moves on to the next piece of correspondence. No anger, no frustration, just another decision. That calmness unsettles you more than rage ever could. A week later, another meeting takes place. This one feels different. Maps of railway lines cover the table. Freight costs are written beside nearly every route. Representatives from major railroads arrive separately to avoid attracting attention. You recognize men from the Pennsylvania Railroad, the New York Central, and the Erie. No one says why they're all here. No one needs to. The discussion revolves around a single question. How much does it really cost to move a barrel of oil? For years, every refinery has paid similar shipping prices. Transportation is one of the industry's biggest expenses. A small difference in freight rates can determine whether a refinery earns money or disappears. One railroad executive slides a document across the table. You notice the heading before anyone covers it with another sheet of paper. South Improvement Company. You don't understand its significance yet. Rockefeller clearly does. He studies every line in silence. The proposal is simple, at least on paper. Certain refiners, including Standard Oil, would receive significant rebates on every barrel shipped by rail. Competitors would continue paying the normal rate. But there's another clause, one that makes your stomach tighten. The railroads would also pay participating companies additional payments based on shipments made by their competitors. Even when another refinery transported oil, Standard Oil could still receive money. You read the paragraph twice, just to make sure you've understood it correctly. Rockefeller notices. What do you think? He asks. You hesitate. It gives Standard Oil an advantage. He looks at you for a long moment, then replies quietly. No, it rewards efficiency. No one in the room argues. The meeting continues. Shipping volumes are calculated. Routes compared. Future expansion discussed as though it's already inevitable. By the time everyone leaves, the papers are locked inside Rockefeller's safe. Not because they're illegal, because they are valuable. Walking home that evening, Cleveland feels different. The same factories fill the air with smoke. The same wagons crowd the streets. The same oil refineries stretch along the river. But now you understand something you hadn't before. The battle for the American oil industry isn't being fought at the refineries. It's being fought in quiet offices, with ledgers, letters, and agreements almost nobody will ever see. And tomorrow morning, you'll be back in the room where those decisions continue. The newspapers know nothing. At least, not yet. To the public, Standard Oil is simply another fast-growing refinery in Cleveland. Inside this office, however, every letter that leaves your desk feels like another move in a chess game that stretches across the entire country. A few weeks later, the replies change. The refinery owner who wrote Standard Oil will never own my business sends another letter. This time, the tone is different. Oil prices have fallen. Shipping costs have risen. His profits are disappearing. He asks if Standard Oil's offer still stands. Rockefeller reads the letter once. It does. Nothing more. No celebration. No satisfaction. He had expected this. You begin seeing the pattern. The company doesn't pressure competitors into selling. It waits. If freight costs rise, weaker refiners struggle to survive. If they lower prices to compete, their margins disappear. Sooner or later, many arrive at the same conclusion. Selling becomes easier than fighting. The remarkable part is that Rockefeller never speaks about destroying competitors. He speaks about removing inefficiency. To him, those are almost the same thing. By February 1872, the office becomes busier than you've ever seen it. Telegrams arrive every hour. Rail schedules cover half the conference table. The smell of fresh ink never leaves the room. Some days you write more acquisition letters than personal correspondence. You begin recognizing the names before opening the envelopes. Refineries from Pittsburgh. Philadelphia, New York. Buffalo, some accept immediately. Others negotiate. A handful continue refusing. Those names remain neatly written inside Rockefeller's notebook. Not under enemies, under future opportunities. Nothing in this office is driven by emotion. Everything is measured, calculated, recorded. Even conversations are surprisingly brief. One afternoon, you ask why he almost never argues with anyone. He keeps writing. People defend their opinions. Another pause. They rarely defend arithmetic. A refinery owner from Cleveland arrives determined to reject Standard Oil's latest offer. For nearly 20 minutes, he explains why his refinery will survive. Rockefeller listens without interrupting once. When the man finishes, Rockefeller opens a ledger. He simply compares freight costs, barrel yields, insurance expenses, transportation losses, one number after another. By the end of the meeting, the visitor has stopped arguing. He's asking questions instead. You finally understand why Rockefeller spends so much time studying numbers. Facts leave very little room for emotion. Then, the secret escapes. Word of the South Improvement Company begins spreading beyond the meeting rooms. Independent refiners discover that certain companies are receiving rebates unavailable to everyone else. Many are furious. The atmosphere inside Standard Oil changes too. Not with panic, with preparation. Rockefeller expects resistance. He simply believes resistance doesn't change mathematics. The pressure becomes so intense that the South Improvement Company ultimately collapses before its agreements can be fully implemented. Because something far more important has already happened. The strategy. Those lessons remain. Transportation, efficiency, scale. From that moment forward, the company continues buying refineries at an astonishing pace. The office becomes even quieter, almost peaceful. Outside, critics accuse Standard Oil of becoming too powerful. Inside, ledgers continue filling with numbers. Nothing about the daily routine changes. Months later, you arrive early. Rockefeller is already there. The same worn desk. You finally ask the question you've been carrying for months. Do you ever think it'll be enough? For the first time since you've known him, he smiles. If by enough you mean money, he closes the ledger. I stopped counting that long ago. I'm trying to build something that works. Years from now, people will debate whether John D. Rockefeller transformed American industry or crushed it beneath Standard Oil, but none of them will remember the room. Or the quiet man who believed the shortest letter, the smallest expense, and the lowest transportation cost could change an entire industry. Instead, you watched one of the most disciplined minds in business quietly reshape it. One letter at a time.